Guys, if you wake up feeling fat, bad back, heartburn, tired, then it's time to get healthy and lose weight with Nutrisystem for Men.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are on this fine earth of ours. I'm sorry, I've got something that got out of hand here. Hold on a second. Here it goes. I'm sorry. Got rid of it. Oh, man, what a joke. I'm so sorry to get interrupted like that. Anyway, my name is Ron Tyler. I'm the president of Emergency Management Associates. We want to welcome you to the program tonight. We are coming to you live from the Crossroads of the West in Salt Lake City, Utah. The time right now is 6:17 p.m. Mountain Standard Time here in the Mountain West of the United States of America, which we are proud to say that. We want to welcome everybody here that's joining us right now or maybe joining us in the coming hour or so that we're going to be on the air. We want to welcome everybody here. It's a pleasure to see you folks here and those people that will be joining us on a delayed broadcast basis. Thank you for coming. You are always welcome to be on this show. We appreciate that. We appreciate that. We have a lot of things to discuss here. I just had to set some things up here. So I'm sorry, just bear with me for a quick second. Get my head together here. First off tonight, we want to talk about the coronavirus. There's been a lot of talk today and of the last we've been doing this since January. We've been talking about it since January, but we now have confirmed cases in 49 states throughout the United States and 30 countries around the world. Let's talk for a few minutes about what has happened in the past, say 30 hours even. Friday afternoon, President Trump addressed the nation for the second time about the coronavirus pandemic. Friday morning, or maybe it was Thursday morning, the World Health Organization had declared it a pandemic since it is now killed people throughout the world and it has spread throughout the world. But this time on Friday afternoon, approximately 3:30 p.m. yesterday afternoon, he declared a national state of emergency. Trump said he would invoke the Stafford Act, which is typically used for natural disasters, which he said will free up $50 billion in emergency aid for every one of the states and territories throughout the United States, Guam, Puerto Rico, the US Virgin Islands, etc. President Trump said no resource will be spared. Congress has now written a law that's going to be headed to the president's desk any day now, that's going to give them another $8 billion to deal with the coronavirus. Of the outbreak, he said in the Rose Garden yesterday, this will pass. We know it's going to pass at some point in time. But right now, we have a lot of issues going on, and a lot of people are in a lot of hurt. We will be hopefully speaking to someone, one of our friends, Mel, it's her business partner that came down with the coronavirus, and she and her husband have been, they went for a test and they said they couldn't, the hospital said that they could not give them a test because they didn't have any tests available. This has been my whole gripe all along. When they have given people tests, they've come up negative, they've come up positive, and then they come up negative again. Even the tests have been wrong. Well, this time, President Trump was cleared. Okay, he was cleared. Today, I'll be talking about that in a minute. Anyway, when Trump invoked the Stafford Act, it means that FEMA will play a bigger role in coordinating the federal response. Among other things, the result could be the construction of mobile hospitals and temporary shelters. Okay, that's why they brought FEMA and the National Guard into it. Now, we all know about FEMA shelters. Like I said yesterday, I believe it was, if you would have talked to me about FEMA shelters a year ago, I would have blown you out of my ear and said, go away. I've since done a lot of research. The FEMA shelters do exist, and most of the information that I have is not good. But let's get beyond that for right now. As long as we have some mobile hospitals that the National Guard, the CBRNE crews, and the CST crews are going to be there to be able to test the air for toxic elements in the air that might lead to the coronavirus possibly, and other things that could hurt people while they're sick with the coronavirus. Activating the National Guard was a good thing. Okay, in many states, they've activated the National Guard. It's a good thing. Okay, what did Trump say yesterday and today? First, he waived interest on federal student loans and said he was giving Secretary of Health and Human Services, Alex Azar, the authority to waive federal regulations on hospitals and doctors amid the crisis to give them more flexibility. Through a very collective action and shared sacrifice, national determination, we will overcome the threat of the virus, the president said. Faster tests. The White House has been taking flack for the lack of coronavirus test kits available. And I just spoke to you about another case in Colorado today. And it really bothers me to no end. But the Trump administration has taken steps yesterday to fix that. The Department of Health and Human Services will give more than $1 million to two companies, Diasorin Molecular, again, Diasorin, Diasorin, Diasorin Molecular, and Quigen, Quiagen, to ramp up the development of the test. Also, the FDA set up a 24-hour hotline for private and academic labs to process the tests and authorize new ones. The other thing the President talked about yesterday was drive-throughs. Soon people may be able to make use of drive-through testing sites. The White House is partnering with the private sector and local health departments on the idea. This is as a result of South Korea that has already been doing the same thing since they've had so many people that have come down with the coronavirus, and they set up some temporary drive-through areas where people could be tested. Essentially, people will head to a drive-through clinic set up in a parking lot to be swabbed, and specimens are then to be sent to labs for testing. President Trump, for his part, discouraged people without symptoms from seeking tests. Again, without symptoms. If you have symptoms, you need to go and call your local doctor first. Don't just show up, and I've talked about this before, but I'm going to say it again. Don't just show up. Not a good idea. Why? Because if you show up and you do have the coronavirus, you're going to spread it to every person in that clinic or emergency room. Or if you don't have it and you do go in, someone else in that waiting room might have it, or they might have something else that you were going to catch, and you will become even sicker. Not a good idea. Amid all the negative COVID-19 stories, there is one good one from Disney. Frozen 2 will be available for streaming 3 months earlier than expected. New Disney CEO Bob Chapek, C-H-A-P-E-K, says the movie's powerful themes of perseverance and importance of family are incredibly relevant during this time. With Disney's own parks shut down, of which they shut down last night, and they're not going to open for at least a month, thousands of schools closed from throughout the country, and millions of kids homebound now, this might give families a pleasant break. The animated movie will begin streaming March 15th, tomorrow, on Disney Plus, and it will reach other nations as well. Australia, Canada, the Netherlands, New Zealand, 2 days later. Okay, let's go on to the other coronavirus news. Military travel. The Pentagon said Friday that military employees, meaning troops, Department of Defense workers, and their families on military property, cannot travel within the United States starting Monday. The move is designed to curb the coronavirus and preserve troop force readiness. This is according to a DoD memo. The Pentagon has set new restrictions for entering buildings. Okay, that's what you guys need to know. Now, this is not the only thing. This is not the only thing here. We've got some other news here that is not the best news, I will admit. First off, the coronavirus has its youngest victim, a newborn in England whose mom has been rushed to the hospital with possible pneumonia. According to Fox News, as of Friday, the baby and mother were receiving care at 2 separate hospitals. Puerto Rico and Spain. Puerto Rico has announced its first official coronavirus case, 3 in all, as it closes schools for 2 weeks and blocks all cruise ships and bars the ferry from the Dominican Republic. Spain's government says it plans to lock down the country and order people to stay home unless they need medicine, food, or work at a hospital. Now, I did look at videos this morning showing Barcelona, which is usually one heck of a busy city, and it was literally lifeless. There was nobody walking the streets or doing anything else. So literally, Spain has already set up a basic martial law that nobody can leave their home. Now, while I'm talking about that, if that happens in this country, according to sources that have contacted me, if that happens in this country, the only time people would be able to leave their home would be to go get food, to go to the store to purchase food. And there's probably going to be some other stipulations involved, which I don't know what those stipulations are. But I'm just telling you what I heard earlier today. Next, Apple, the tech giant, remember the Apple computers and the other devices? Apple tech giant is shuttering most of its stores worldwide until March 27th. This is a rare move among retail giants, but stores will remain open in China, where the infection rates are starting to go down. Taiwan and Hong Kong as well. Next, NCAA athletes. Some student athletes will get to keep their eligibility for a year despite the coronavirus ruining the current season. Details of eligibility relief will be finalized at a later date, according to the NCAA. Next, green card holders. The feds are casting aside a rule that bars people from green cards if they take advantage of government benefits, as long as they have a COVID-19 or virus symptoms and get medical care. If they don't do that, they won't be able to get green cards, according to the story that I have. Over in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia has stopped all international flights into the country for 2 weeks. In the United Arab Emirates, elderly people are being told to stay home as tourist restaurants and nightclubs are shuttered for the rest of the month. The same thing is happening in France and Spain and many other countries around the world. They're shutting down restaurants and stores and everything else because of the breakout of COVID-19. Nearby Iran has one of the world's worst breakouts, with over 11,000 people infected and over 500 people dead. Model Heidi Klum. Remember Heidi Klum from the show America's Got Talent? Guess what? According to Instagram, she announced that she's coming down with something, quote, a chill, feeling feverish, cough, runny nose, unquote, but just can't get a coronavirus test. Even the celebrities can't get the test, even though Tom Hanks and his wife got the test and they're in Australia trying to recover. Heidi Klum stopped taping America's Got Talent this week after she was feeling ill. Today, President Trump said that he's been tested for the coronavirus and he was awaiting results. Well, the results came in today. According to the White House physician, his coronavirus test is negative. It's negative. He does not have the coronavirus. He's been in contact directly and indirectly with people who had already tested positive for the virus. And many senators and congressmen have opted to isolate themselves in, shelter in place in their home until symptoms come out, whether they're feeling ill or feverish and all the other symptoms related to the coronavirus. And hopefully those senators and congresspeople will be able to get tested, we hope. President Trump and Mike Pence will have their temperature checked on a periodic basis. And anybody coming in contact with Trump and Pence will have their temperatures checked. Okay, usually if you get a coronavirus test, the results usually take 24 hours or more. The president today also said that the US is widening its travel ban against European countries by including the UK, Britain, and Ireland. The report says the ban will allow US citizens and people with green cards and others to come home, provided they accept health screenings and quarantine orders at 13 specific airports. Meanwhile, reports of New York State as having their first fatality. Their first fatality was an 82-year-old Manhattan woman with emphysema, which, according to Governor Andrew Cuomo, says was a factor in her death. So far, the virus has spread to over 2,100 people in 49 states. Earlier this week, it was rumored that we had over 1,000. Now we have over 2,100 people in 49 states that have the virus, including Washington and Puerto Rico. The virus has now killed 48 people in the United States. Now, if you already didn't know, panic buying has hit US stores. Duh. Do you plan to go shopping today? Or have you already been shopping? Let me tell you about something. I want to show you some pictures. The other day, I showed pictures of Walmart. I showed you pictures of Walmart, didn't I? Well, guess what? There's more, folks. The paper goods aisle, completely gutted. This is the bathroom tissue and such, completely gutted. Frozen foods. Many of the frozen food bins, meaning each freezer or refrigerated area, many of those areas are empty. Many of those areas are empty. Here's another picture of empty refrigerators at Walmart yesterday, where the groceries had been picked clean. Okay, the frozen food section is again one of those where they also have empty bays in the freezer. Empty bays in the freezer. This is a picture that I shot from across the way showing one of the refrigerated areas of frozen goods, frozen vegetables, and 3 bays there are completely empty. That was yesterday. Here's the dairy section. Several of the dairy refrigerated areas are also empty. Okay. Here's another picture of more. The bays are empty, folks. Now, I haven't been there today, and I'm not going to, because of my cold that I've had. And no, I don't believe I've got COVID-19. Number one, it's not a dry cough. And I have not been running fevers as of late. Earlier this week, yes, I did. And it was 101, not 104. According to the Surgeon General and the chief, what do they call her? Anyway, she's one of those ologists, a doctor at the Utah State Health Department. I don't even fit the criteria for symptoms for the coronavirus. But I also don't want to be exposed. So Ron here is not going out again until I'm completely over this. I'm not. My last trip was yesterday. Here's another section of Walmart with empty shelves. And yes, they had stockers trying to fill those shelves. But there wasn't even enough food according to the stockers. Complete shelves empty throughout the grocery area. The paper towels, gone. Completely gutted. Completely gutted. This is the syrup aisle. Shelves completely bare. There's a few things down here that go along with pancakes and such, but the syrup is gone. There is none. Here's another shelf area, completely bare. Nothing's there. It really isn't. Here's another shot of yesterday's cereal aisle. A lot of the cereal is gone. You notice this young man with his back to me? He had 3 bags of cereal he pulled out of there. There's not a whole lot of cereal left. More shelves empty. More cereal shelves empty. Empty. This is the flour and sugar shelving at Walmart. Empty. Now, to give Walmart some credit, there was one person one person that had a pretty good sized cart loaded with sugar, and she was going to try to stock the shelf just after I took this picture. But the sugar and flour was gone. Canned goods, canned fruit, canned vegetables, empty. Soups, Campbell's soup and everything else, empty. The soups are gone. The soups are gone. Here's the soups. Nothing there. Nothing there at all. This is the other side of that aisle. Empty. You couldn't buy soup if you wanted to. Here's another bay, completely empty. For Walmart to have this kind of thing happening, they've had to make a ton of money by people hoarding groceries. Now, I have my own feelings about this. Okay, I have my own feelings about this. Now, I don't like hoarding, but I don't like people going hungry either. The rumor had it that, and I put the word out once I heard this, that they were probably going to declare martial law, where people would not be able to leave their homes. And I talked to you guys about that yesterday. What I found out that martial law, of course, it has not happened yet, and it could possibly still happen. Some other states and other countries have done it. Spain, Portugal, France are under martial law. They can't leave their home. But I wanted to show you this. If you can't leave your home, what are you going to do? I have been asking people, begging everybody on this show and people that talk to me about emergency preparedness. I've been literally begging them to go out and buy a 50-cent can of this and a $1 can of that whenever they could. Well, it's obvious. It's obvious with bare shelves in the Walmart store in Sandy, Utah, entire aisles that had bare shelves where shoppers had cleaned out the canned goods, the fruits, the soups, cleaning supplies, paper towels, and toilet paper, gone. We have had reports from another one of our friends that was in one store at 5:30 a.m. this morning that said the line to the checkout at a Winco grocery store, box store, stretched around through the store to the back of the store. People are buying whatever they can at this point in the event that there's martial law declared. Now, before I go any further with this story, I have also done some checking. From what I'm told, if they declare martial law, the only way you'll be able to leave your home is to go to the store to buy the things that you need. That's the only way. Now, before it was a scare and now it's real, and with COVID-19 spreading, 41 Americans are dead so far. The president declared a national emergency. Shoppers are eager to stock up on food staples, hand sanitizer, toilet paper, bottled water, and other things. I understand that. But major retailers are starting to limit how many key items each customer can buy. In Hartford, Connecticut, Target, for example, has limited hand sanitizers, various wipes, and toilet paper to 1 per person. Walmart has limited product on the shelves. They hardly have anything left. Costco has limits on 2 cases of water per person per day. Toilet paper is being limited at 1 case per household per day. And once a case, lots of paper towels per day, 1 case, and that's it. By day's end, Friday night, Costco was completely sold out of toilet paper, towels, and water. When my family and I went there early yesterday afternoon to Costco, it wasn't really early afternoon, it was about 2:30, 3 o'clock. Guess what, folks? They had pallet upon pallet upon pallet of water. I would say they had 10 pallets of water in that section. Plenty of water. And by last night, when my family went without me and I was on the air, my wife came back home and told me that even all of the water had been taken. They didn't have any water in Costco to sell. So you guys need to be aware of that. Everyone does. Empty shelves, what's left in stock items seems to depend on the store. A Walmart in Gardena, California looked like a deserted warehouse by mid-morning today. A Costco shopper in South Carolina says items were available despite lineups. I think it's kind of ridiculous, he said, and I think the media is responsible for it. Probably. We've been talking about toilet paper. Big retailers tell the New York Times that toilet paper has only been out of stock for a few hours, maybe a day or two at a time. Manufacturers are increasing production, but only up to a point. to avoid creating a market glut after the surge dies down. Now, someone told me last night that the reason we're seeing toilet paper and paper towels disappear is because those things are made in China. And China has already said that they may limit our supply of medicine, or they may stop selling us medicine. And President Trump goes, okay, we'll manufacture it here and we'll keep it here. I hope that doesn't happen, folks. Again, I'm asking you out of the bottom of my heart, from the deepest recesses of my soul, call your pharmacist. Ask them for a 90-day supply of medicine. And I understand, please don't get me wrong, I do understand that there's those of you that can't afford it. You can't afford it. I totally get it. But please, please go out there and at least try. Please go out there and at least try. I don't want to see anybody going hungry. I don't want to see people hurting, period. I'm the last person that wants to see somebody hurt. Throughout my career, my life, my whole life has been dedicated to serving my fellow man, serving the public. I don't want to see anybody hurt. But I also want to see people take care of themselves as well. More than anything, I want to see people taking care of themselves, not being relying on the government. That's the last thing any of us need to do, is to rely on the government. Not a good thing. The next thing I'm going to say may seem kind of strange, but everybody needs to chill out. Law enforcement around the country are urging people to stay calm. Please don't call 911 because someone is cutting in front of you in a line. A sheriff's office in Santa Clarita County. Actually, it's not a county. Santa Clarita is a town in California. That they answered a false alarm about fights outside a Costco store in Santa Clarita. Friends, let's keep a cool tool. Let's chill out and understand everybody is in the same boat. Please don't grab product that's in somebody else's hand. That happened to me a lot of years ago at Christmas time. And I put the mother, or the grandmother, whoever she was, in jail because she took product out of my hands. I had hold of a doll that I was looking at, going to buy for one of my girls. And this woman grabbed it out of my hands and started running through the store. So I followed her. She didn't go by the checkout stands at Walmart. She ran right through the front area of the store and out into the parking lot. Now, I waited until she cleared the doors and was out in the parking lot before I stopped her. No, I didn't tackle her, but I stopped her and placed her under arrest. And I was off duty at the time. And I placed this woman under arrest for shoplifting. Yeah, that's what she did. She shoplifted. The judge didn't see it just as shoplifting. He also saw it as assault because she grabbed the product out of my hands. What could have been just a fine and a suspended jail sentence turned into 6 months in the slammer because she stole that doll and did not intend to pay for it. And two, she took it out of my hands and the judge got her for assault too. And he was trying to get her for assault on a police officer. I said, Your Honor, that's not fair. At the time she did it, she didn't know I was a cop. She had no clue about a lot of things she didn't have a clue about. So the judges got her for assault and shoplifting. Friends, please, please keep a cool tool. Don't do anything that you might regret. Okay? Now, with what is going on and stores not having product, they're going to start cutting back on business hours. Some 24-hour stores are trimming hours to let employees clean and restock. For example, Wegmans, Wegmans, told us that 8 such stores will shutter between midnight and 6 a.m. They'll no longer be 24/7. Logical. Fears of possible quarantine and the notion of social distancing that appear to be driving the panic. But it's not all logical. By going to the store, you're putting yourself in a position to expose other people or get exposed yourself to either the coronavirus or some other disease. That doesn't seem like a lot of common sense, does it? Before you get all hot and bothered and think you have to go to the store, think about what you need and go get what you need, not hoarding like what is going on now. Okay, next. A rare event, logical or not, but it's an eye-popping story. A Woodman's manager says the last such panic was Y2K, 1999, while a food seller manager said he hadn't seen it like this since the morning of 9/11, September 11th. France has also declared all non-essential stores, restaurants, movie theaters, and cafes will be shut down starting tomorrow to prevent the spread of the coronavirus throughout their countries. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced that Israel too will shutter restaurants, movie theaters, and cafes. All right. I talked a little bit ago about water disappearing from the store shelves. Why stockpile water? In recent days, we've talked a little bit, in fact, recent days and even months, we've talked about the need for water. We talked about emergency water, haven't we? I want to shed some light on everyone saying that you need at least 1 gallon of water per person per day. That's BS. We all read about it in the preparedness articles, don't we? It's BS. It's more like 3 gallons of water per day per person. I'm going to explain why. And I'm not saying that you use your bottled water that you got for drinking to do some of this stuff. But if you think you're only getting one gallon of water per day, it's not going to be nearly enough to cover your needs. Here are some good reasons why. You need more water to wash clothes, don't we? You need more water when you get sick or if you have to clean a bullet wound, for example. You need more water for hygiene, flushing the toilet, bathing off. You need more water for daily cooking. You need more water for your pets and livestock. And above all, you need more water to drink because it's the only way to stay physically and mentally fit. You know very well that the rule of threes applies. Water is more important than food and shelter. Okay? Now, Governor Herbert from the great state of Utah, I think this came out Thursday, he said, people, you don't have to be hoarding water, as we see everybody doing. There's plenty of water in our taps. There's plenty of water coming out of our taps, and it's not contaminated. So you need a real reliable source of water, don't we? A good way is to harvest rainwater too. But if there's a drought, you can wait weeks or even months before you see a few drops of rain again. And then on the other hand, in some places like Colorado, it's illegal to catch rainwater. Yeah, it's illegal to catch rainwater coming out of your downspout and harvesting it to either water your crops or pure strain and purify it for your individual needs. It's illegal, but it's not illegal if it comes out of your tap. And I've explained many times how to do that. If you folks want me to explain again, I have no problem. I'll bring it up and explain it again. Not a problem. Okay, but please understand that water is important, but we don't have to hoard it. Yes, I've got like six cases of water now, right now, stacked up floor to ceiling. I'm going to keep it that way. Now, Pamela Gasper, I talked to her, that sweet woman, today. She says she has asthma and diabetes. And for people like her and I, we have to be very careful. And you may have to have your medicines, your insulin and such, or your inhalers, but be very careful. Please be careful. Puka says she's already sheltered in place. I'm looking at the chat room right now. Puka says she's severely immunocompromised. I understand. Many of us are. You could be obese for one. You could be diabetic like myself. You could have asthma, or you may have had a transplant where the doctors have purposely compromised your immune system so it will not affect the transplanted organ that they put in you. All those things figure into it. And if you catch a disease of some kind, a cold, it could affect your health in a very drastic way. So just be careful. Watch what you're doing. Linda Sutherland says, high risk, have lupus, diabetic, asthma, and over 60. Those of us over 60 are considered a high risk because we're older. And there are a lot of the people that have died so far have been over 60 years old. They've also been young children whose immune systems have been compromised only because of their youth. What I'm saying is, let's protect us, each of us, and those loved ones we care so much about. Okay, please. Please. Yes, in states like Colorado, and there's some others, you have to have permission to collect rainwater. And in Colorado, it's just out and out illegal. Got to be careful. I started collecting water, not rainwater, but hooking up a tap to great big, huge 50-gallon drums and filling them with water. On one end of it, I just put a hose bit. I put them on their sides. I made a rack, an X rack like this, and put the rain barrels on their side in that in that rack, the wooden rack I made. On one end of it, I had a hose bit where I could run a hose from the house to my water barrel. And it would be on the top side of the bottom of the rain barrel. On the other side, there was a hole for water to come out. I attached a hose bib, a spigot. Why did I do that? So I could have another hose and use that 50-gallon drum worth of water to water my garden and my plants outside, and for that matter, my lawn. How did I keep the water in the 50-gallon drum? I kept it completely full all the time. I never turned off the spigot on the back of the house. It was constantly running to fill those barrels. So even if I used the water in the barrels, it was being refilled immediately. And then when I got through watering the grass or the plants or whatever, I'd turn off the spigot on the water barrel. I had 2 water barrels, 2 50-gallon water barrels. That's how I did it. You can do it. You can do it that way. And there's no law saying you can't. I'm just giving you a hint. Everyone, please be safe with what you're doing. Watch what you're doing. Okay? That's all I'm saying. Heather says Southern California is shutting their schools down. Guess what, folks? There are a lot of states and counties that are shutting their schools down. Our governor, as of yesterday, has closed all Utah schools, K to 12. All Utah schools are closed until the end of the month. And I read you the edict from our school district. Our school district, after the governor had shuttered the schools, the school district came out with a blurb about it, and that they were going to disinfect the school, every school, between now and the 30th of March. Washington State, according to Scooter Pie, the state has closed all schools on Friday. That's good. I'm glad. But then there's another issue. That's with parents that work, that have children in school. What are they going to do? Today, the President of the United States answered that, saying there's money marked in that $50 billion to help people with Family Leave Act. Okay? So people can still go to work and have someone watch their children. Okay? And Becca says a lot of people had already had the virus back in January. Severe respiratory symptoms, but they recovered. Don't let them declare martial law. Becca, I'm praying that they won't. Everyone, I'm praying that they won't. And some people will hang with their friends and go to the mall and get in trouble too. Puka says exactly, hang with their friends and go to the mall. One of my own daughters did that. She snuck out of her mother's house. I was divorced from their mother. She snuck out of her mother's house at 9 o'clock and went with a friend to the Carlsbad Mall. This was in California. Went to the Carlsbad shopping mall. Well, the mall closes at 9 o'clock, but somehow her and her friend got in. I got a call from my ex-wife saying that my daughter had run off and may be at the Carlsbad Mall. So I got permission. I was on duty. I got permission to leave my patrol district and drive up to Carlsbad to look for my daughter. Said my daughter was missing, had snuck out of the house. I went to the Carlsbad Mall and found my daughter. And when she saw me and my partner walking through the mall, she yells, "Daddy," and starts running to me. And to make an impression on her, as she got to me, I spun her around and put a pair of handcuffs on her and did the same with her friend. Then I called my ex-wife and I called the girl's parents and said that my daughter and their daughter were in custody for sneaking out of their house after they were supposed to be in bed or be in the house. So they both snuck out. I wanted to make an impression on them, and I did. Please, folks, watch what your kids are doing. Don't let them go off in the mall and get in trouble with their friends. It's not a good idea. When the kids don't have anywhere to go and they don't have things to do, they get into trouble. So please, everyone, watch your children. So no police officer has to go to the mall and arrest them and take them down to the police station or take them home. I had the choice. I made a good choice. Yes, I arrested them, but I didn't take them to jail. I lawfully turned them over to their parents. So please watch what your children are doing. And yes, they've also, Mel is saying that they've also instituted moratoriums on rent and mortgages and utilities. Okay, locking down is the only way we're going to bring the curve down and do not overrun the hospitals. You're absolutely right. But they've asked landlords and banks to hold off on demanding rent payments so people can survive. Because some people may not be getting paid until after this whole thing is over. The government has asked landlords and banks to give people a break. Becca asked, should people put Clorox in their bottled water if their water already has chlorine in it? Look it up on the internet. I believe it's a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons per gallon of water if you're going to store it. If you are going to store it. Now we have in our house, we didn't put it outside. We have water storage in our house in big barrels and in small 5-gallon buckets, where they're not buckets really, they're containers, 5-gallon containers. And yes, we keep the water for 6 months. And about April this year, the end of April, I'll probably go out and use the water in those big, huge 5-gallon bottles and use it to water the lawn with, or use it for watering plants with. And then I'll refill those same containers with clean water and put additional Clorox in it. Only like 2 teaspoons per bottle, okay? And you can get that information on the internet, okay? Sassy Lass says, kids here are egging homes and cars. Yes, I understand. That was a fad when I was a kid too. We need to watch our kids so they don't get in trouble. Okay? And yes, people on Facebook and other social media have no clue what it means to be prepared. That's who is raiding the stores for supplies. Okay? So please watch your children and watch yourselves. We can get through this matter here. Okay? All right, let's talk about earthquakes. We've had a few earthquakes. And no, I have not kept track of earthquakes after the program came on tonight, after we came on the air. At approximately 10 p.m. last night, a moderate 4.3 earthquake hit northern Chile, Tarapaca, Chile. at 11:34 p.m. last night, a moderate 4.4 magnitude earthquake hit in northern Sumatra last night. Now, I don't have the map up. Maybe I ought to put up the map. Let me put up the map here. Okay, here it comes. I'll show you the map. When it comes up, finally. Go figure. Okay, that's the United States, everybody knows. But let me move this map over and show you where things are. Okay, Sumatra, 4.4, I believe it was. Yeah, a 4.4 magnitude earthquake hit right here. Well, duh. Okay, it hit right here, which is the northwestern part of Indonesia. A 4.4 magnitude quake hit there last night. A 4.6 magnitude earthquake hit over in Fiji today. Nodai, Fiji had an earthquake. Okay, that was about 12:19 a.m. Saturday morning, this morning. Over in the Ryukyu Islands, down here in the southern end of Japan, a 4.4 magnitude earthquake hit there at 12:55 a.m. this morning. Now, there's another interesting earthquake that hit over here in the United States, just off the coast of Carlsbad, California. Okay, it's that little blue dot in the southern part of California. That's Carlsbad, California. That was a minor earthquake, a 2.5, that hit west-southwest of Carlsbad, out in the water, nearly on the beach. Nearly on the beach today, this morning. Down in the Kermadec Islands, you see this great big blue dot here. The Kermadec Islands had a 6.3 magnitude earthquake. Now, some of you might wonder why I didn't go on the air. Folks, this same area, the Kermadec Islands last year, actually about the same time last year, had a series of earthquakes down here in the Kermadec Islands, north of Fiji. This area, these two islands down here, bring it up. Now you can see them better. There's two islands that constitute the country of New Zealand. North of New Zealand, here we have the Kermadec Islands. Last year at this time, we had 6.3, 6.5, 6.7, 6.3, 7.0, and it kept rattling. For months, we had a ton of earthquakes here. A ton of earthquakes. So no, it's the Kermadec Islands are not inhabited islands. There's nobody there. The Kermadec Islands are actually a bird sanctuary. So only the birds would feel this. But, folks, this was 298 kilometers, approximately 185 miles northeast of Raoul Island, New Zealand. This was out in the open ocean, away from any of the islands. A 6.3 magnitude earthquake hit this morning at 3 a.m. Over in Halmahera, Indonesia. Halmahera, Indonesia. A 4.9 magnitude quake hit here this morning near Tobelo, Indonesia. Approximately 67 to 70 miles northeast of Tobelo, Indonesia. Again, in open water. Open water, Halmahera, Indonesia. Up in the Philippines today, up here in the Philippines. They were hit this morning at about 3:51 a.m. this morning in the Philippines. A 5.0 magnitude quake hit approximately 75 miles northeast of Sulongan, Philippines. Sulongan, Philippines. Now, let's open this up and get closer here. Again, this was offshore from the Philippines. Offshore, approximately 75, 80 miles even, northeast of Sulongan, Philippines. So that did nothing. That didn't do anything. Okay, now let's go over to the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, we constantly have been getting hit every couple of days by earthquakes, either down here in the South Atlantic in the Sandwich Islands. Yesterday we got hit here in the South Mid-Atlantic Ocean here along this earthquake fault. This Mid-Atlantic fault, a fracture zone. It's where the 5.0 hit yesterday. Today, we got hit with a moderate 4.7 magnitude quake at 8:42 a.m. this morning in the middle of the Atlantic. It didn't do anything. It didn't do anything. Now, let's go and show you another earthquake here. Okay, up here in Montana. Now, I'm not going to cover all the earthquakes. I'm not going to cover all the earthquakes. I want to point out to you specific earthquakes that you may need to know about. Again, I'm showing you one earthquake in Montana. There are many. There are many, many earthquakes in Montana today. This one hit at 9:08 a.m., 25 kilometers, about 12 miles south of Three Forks, Montana. Now, this is in the Yellowstone magma chamber. This whole area up here towards the Canadian border and down to Soda Springs, Idaho, is considered part of the Yellowstone magma chamber. It's 11 Grand Canyons in size. 11 Grand Canyons in size. Okay? That's what hit here this morning in Montana. Then another 4.4, and it's not on the map, it's not being shown on the map, hit over here in Indonesia, in Java, Indonesia, off the coast of northern Sumatra, right up in the same area. Okay. At 1:27 p.m., there was another 5.0 magnitude quake that was down in the Loyalty Islands, what they call the Loyalty Islands, 136 kilometers east of Hunter, New Caledonia. Again, this was in open water. Open water. A 5.0 earthquake here, one up here in the Philippines, the 6.3 down here in New Zealand, and the 5.0 up here in the North Mid-Atlantic. Every one of these earthquakes was in open water. When they're in open water, folks, water dampens the seismic energy. By the time the energy gets to land, it's dissipated so much that residents of those areas would only feel a little bit of shaking. It wouldn't be as intense as a large earthquake that hit on land. Okay, so you want to understand it. None of these earthquakes hit anywhere near land. Okay, then a 3.7 magnitude earthquake hit up here in the Aleutian Islands. Now, USGS, in its infinite wisdom, this was near Adak, Alaska, and I will put my cursor on approximately where Adak Island is. Okay, this is where the 3.7 hit in the Aleutian Islands today. But again, that hit at 2:19 p.m. It has only been about 5 hours, a little over 5 hours, and USGS took it off the map. Unreal. Then, Laytonville, California, right up here, a magnitude small, 3.3 magnitude earthquake, hit at approximately 3:28 p.m. Now, I'm going to bring the map down a little bit, and I'm going to zoom in on that earthquake. Notice, I don't have to zoom that far. There we go. Notice where this earthquake is. It's right beside the San Andreas Fault. It's south of this Gorda Escarpment. It's south of the Cascadia subduction zone. But again, it is on the San Andreas Fault, the northern end of the San Andreas Fault. Why is this significant? Because we've seen earthquakes up here in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Oregon and Northern California here. So we know the energy is coming down the coast. That's why this 3.3 magnitude earthquake hit near Laytonville, California, 3 miles southeast of Laytonville, California, on the San Andreas Fault. Okay, I wanted to show that to you. Okay, those of you that were trying to get my attention as I was signing off the air last night, that a bunch of buoys had lit up on the internet at the National Buoy Center. Okay, let's go over to the National Buoy Center. Okay, let's go over here and look at it. It's going to take a second to open up here. Look at all the buoys here. Okay, when you have these lights flashing, any of these lights flashing, that means that the seismic monitors out here on the buoys have been lit up. There's been some kind of activity. Okay, right down here. It's right down here, guys. Regarding this activity last night, remember that we had a full plate rupture over by Puerto Rico? A full plate rupture by Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico's right here. Okay, it had a full plate rupture down here, which means that the plate had shattered itself down here with those 8.0 and 8.4 earthquakes. So this area is like swinging. It's loose. This whole area is loose. Okay, now, with that knowledge that the plate ruptured over here, and this area is just swinging, yes, it's connected. Central America is connected to South America and North America so far. The plate is moving down here in the Indonesia area. The Southern Pacific plate is subducting under the Indonesian plate here. It moves to the tune of 6 inches a year down here in the South Pacific. Meanwhile, we've also seen a lot of seismic energy up here in the northern Pacific here and all over the East Coast, through the central United States and the West Coast. Where is that coming from? The North American plate is being pushed by the Atlantic plate, being pushed westward. and the stress has moved over the Pacific plate here in the Pacific Northwest. That's why we get so many earthquakes. That's why you see all these buoys here along the coast. When we have an earthquake, you're going to see these things light up. Okay, yesterday, we found that the plate had moved. The tectonic plate had moved, and that's why all those buoys lit up. Again, we had that full plate rupture on the 28th of December. The plate moved then, and the plates have continued to move. Before the 8.0s, we'd had 7 and 8s over in South America. We've had 6s in Panama. The plate is always moving. But besides that, besides the plates always moving, we have planetary alignments where we have electromagnetism that pulls into play here. Electromagnetism can cause the plates to heat up. Electromagnetic energy. We've also had cosmic radiation that has entered the atmosphere because our magnetosphere has thinned out and has allowed this extra cosmic energy and this electromagnetic energy and the solar flares, the CMEs that we've had, have also helped thin that magnetosphere out. But with the CMEs, we also have radiation coming from the sun. And that is also heating up the plates, reducing the friction between the plates. And the plates are rupturing, or not rupturing in this case, they're moving. The North American continent is moving over the Pacific plate or the Farallon plate. There's usually some kind of friction there. But when the radiation that enters our planet heats up those plates, reduces the friction between the plates, it's like grease. It thins it out. The radiation heats that friction area up where it's like grease, and the plates snap. There's an earthquake. Okay, that's what we see happening. And the plates moved last night. They're continuing to move. Okay, it's not too much of a surprise. Everybody got really excited, and rightly so. Why not get excited? Why not get excited? There's reason to think about it. There's reason to think about it. I don't want to get people all excited and hurt and wondering what's going on and why is this happening? It didn't, the plates didn't move that much and didn't cause a bunch of earthquakes. Yes, the plates did move. And the plate movement was not recorded as earthquakes, unfortunately. I wish it had, so we could have shown you that. MG Toe, hello. I'm watching the chat room too. But this is just happens, and it happens all the time. You guys just happen to catch it, and I checked on it. And I checked on a lot of things so I could tell you why it happened. And it's probably going to happen a lot more. And now we're paying attention to it. We're going to see it a lot more. You guys are talking about the stores selling out of things, and Subway and Albertsons are hiring again. That's great. I'm glad. Lisa, I've heard if they do a lockdown, they'll still let us out to go to the store and get things like that. I hope. I hope nobody's lying to anybody. Becca, I hope nobody called you a liar or anything else. but I don't think anybody lies in this member of our family. And yes, Becca, there are in everybody. The news media tries to hide stuff. The government tries to hide stuff. It doesn't surprise me. Concerned citizen said he lives in a condo in Florida, and his building posted notices requesting everybody self-quarantine for 2 weeks. No social visits, and submit your grocery list to the board as they want to shop for us. I wouldn't want any of my board to shop for me. That's not up to them. And they're not governor. They're not a mayor. They're not the police. They can't force you to have them shop for you. That's bull. And I'd challenge him on that. I'd challenge him on that all day long and twice on Sunday. Okay. Yes, Mel is talking about the time is running out fast. Stock up on your emergency supplies. But you can also help out the network improvements by going to My Patriot and getting your emergency supplies through mypatriot.com. That helps us out. Also, I want you guys to know that you guys can also support us, support the Freedom Revolution Network. And you can donate. You can donate funds to us so that we can help people. Okay? We can help people. And Mel, I'm sorry I didn't open that link and take a look at it. But you can do that. You can also donate to my program here and put EMA or Ron as a beneficiary of your donation. And if you want to donate to PayPal, my information's on Freedom Revolution Network. It's also over on YouTube. And you can donate directly to our PayPal account. Or you can send donations in cards and letters to our P.O. Box. P.O. Box 526. That's P.O. Box 526. Sandy, S-A-N-D-Y, Utah, 84091. We love cards and letters. We have had a bunch of cards and letters. We love our cards and letters. Thank you very much. We continue to get cards and letters. We love it. We love it. All right. Anyway, there's that. Mel, if your friend would like to call in to the show, Mel has a friend that wants to talk about the coronavirus since they were just tested. Or actually, they couldn't even be tested. They went into the doctor apparently, and the doctor told them that they have no way to test for the coronavirus because the test kits are not out to the hospitals or other health units in Colorado yet. That's been my biggest gripe. That's been my biggest gripe. Because the government has not released those test kits to most of the hospitals like they should have. Even me, I don't think I have the coronavirus. It's crossed my mind a bit, especially since I was running a fever earlier this week. But I'm actually doing better. I'm stuffed up just a little bit. I'm taking medicine for that. I'm also doing natural healing through essential oils and other oils to keep myself strong and doing what I need to do to help you and help my family. But I'm not leaving the house. until I'm 100% better. And even then, I'm going to wear a mask out so I don't recatch something. I'm going to get healthy come heck or high water. Anyway, folks, I'm going to wait for those people to give us a call and come on the show. I want to interview them. And after the interview, whatever time we have left in this program, after the interview, I'll have an open line Saturday night. Hey, we have somebody that's joining us. How about that? Love it. Good evening. Hi, you're on the air with Ron.
Oh, hey, Ron. This is Daniel Whetstone. I'm over in the western slope of Colorado.
Hi there, my friend. Good to see you. See you. Hear your voice, Daniel.
Right.
Excuse me. Good to hear from you. How are you?
Well, we've seen better days.
It was
last Wednesday. We went to the hospital. My wife had some flu-like symptoms. They gave her a flu test, and then they told her that it was negative. And then after they told her it was negative, they said it was a false negative and diagnosed her with flu anyways. So then the next day she woke up and she was even worse. And she called me from work and told me that she was a mess and she needed me to come home. And we went down to the health department down here to try to get some answers about what we could do. And the lady down there, she pulled me into the office and she said that she could get herself in trouble for telling me this, but they're nowhere near prepared for anything like what we've been seeing with this virus. They said they have no testing, and then she referred us to the neighboring county's health department, where they put us on a line for an answering machine, and someone called us back and triaged us over the phone. They said we didn't meet criteria, and then my wife had gotten a hold of her doctor, and her doctor definitely is afraid that she might be something like this. So they said that they want to triage her in the parking lot. They won't let her inside the doctor's office, but if they think that she's serious enough to where she needs to be tested, they're going to push for it. So I don't know how that works, but I know that there's no testing available here for anybody. And then another thing too, the other neighboring county, Montrose County, they have a lady that recently died, and on her birth certificate said coronavirus. Now, a lot of people are saying that that it wasn't the right coronavirus or whatever locally, but it's not even being reported nationally. Like, she's not even considered one of the deaths in this state in Colorado. So
because Colorado doesn't have the necessary test kits.
Jeez. No, they absolutely don't. Our government had, our local government had went ahead and declared a state of emergency a few days ago. But I mean, there's only 600,000 tests nationwide.
Right.
So I mean, with that short amount of tests, I mean, there's just no way that everybody, I mean, especially people like us, we can't be tested, you know?
Right.
So what we did was we self-quarantined anyways. I took some time off of work, and then we just been laid up at the house. We went down to get some last minute stuff that we needed. We didn't want to panic buy anything because we know a lot of people around here are old, and we don't want to needed to get our necessities. We spent about $148 and got what we needed, and we've been doing okay, but she's been having some serious pain in her lungs. She says it's not enjoyable whatsoever. Like, so these people that are saying it's just a flu, they don't know what they're talking about.
Right. I'm hoping your state starts getting those test kits, and when they do, I'd keep an eye on it and go have them test her.
I do too. But the one thing I will say though is, you know, there's a way for everybody to be able to be covered. They could take care of everybody. They have the means to do it. And they proved it with the stock market the other day when they just all of a sudden came up with $1.5 trillion out of thin air. Right. But they, you know, but you know, you got a president that turns around and calls it a liberal hoax 6 weeks ago when he could have took that $1.5 trillion and put it towards medical effort then and we wouldn't have had to need it for the stock market now.
Yeah, that's possible. That's possible.
It's super, super sad the way that, the government always seems to have their hearts in the right place, but the money's always in the wrong place.
Yeah. Yeah. It saddens me to know that. Congressmen and senators on both sides of the aisle. I'm not going to blame the Democrats. I'm not going to blame the Republicans. It's all their fault.
It is.
They want money for their specific pet project, where they're fighting with one another, Pelosi against Schumer and Pelosi against the other side. It goes back and forth. I am so surprised that they came up with $8 billion to put out for the coronavirus. And then Trump and his people were told about the Stafford Act, and they invoked the Stafford Act by declaring a national emergency. And now we have another $50 billion available to help take care of things.
The people that aren't diagnosed.
Yeah, but the problem is that he says these things, but we're on the ground here. We're not seeing any of that. The problem is that you could say those things on TV and be grandstanding and doing what you have to do to be looking presidential, but they're not diagnosing anybody. Nobody knows what's going on. I mean, if my wife is positive for it, which we hope to find out soon, I mean, she's not well, but if she has it, there's 26 people she works with that have it. I have it because I share a bed with her. I go to work with a dozen people. My son works, he lives with us, and he goes to work and he serves food to the general public. These are the things that people aren't understanding, is that, it may be just one case, but who's been in contact with these people? And no tests are available to find out exactly who.
Right. Well, you're on the air with me, and this story is getting out to millions of people right now. Yes, we might have only 100 or 200 people in the chat room, but we have other people on other venues, YouTube and DLive and Periscope, and anyway, there's a half dozen other venues that are watching our program, and other people are now watching it and hearing it, and we're going to share this. I have people in high places in the state of Colorado, and I'm going to share this with them on Monday morning.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I really appreciate that.
This is one of my pet peeves. And I said this from the very beginning, months ago, when we started talking about the coronavirus, and the word got out that there's not that many test kits and nobody really knows. And then they get tested for the coronavirus and it comes up a false negative, false negative, false negative. And all of a sudden there's a positive, and then two more negatives and another positive. The test can't even be done right.
That's right.
I honestly don't believe they know what they're talking about.
Their screening's not right,
And then another thing too is their screening process is wrong. I mean, they're asking all the wrong questions. I mean, some of the stuff they asked us was like, well, were you in direct contact with a recorded coronavirus? Well, we don't know. There's no test. So we don't know if it. Right. So you're asking us questions that we can't answer, and that's the hardest part. This really does point to a bigger problem, though, that our country was never prepared to deal with any type of medical emergency of a magnitude this size. And part of the reason is because our healthcare system is so fractured. It's broken in so many different places, and people are trying to just sign people up and just take their money and never really give anything back in return. And that's all coming back full circle. If anything, this thing,
everything else.
Yeah, they told my wife that the best thing that they could tell us to do at this point is to test for everything else except the coronavirus, because there's no test for it.
Right.
And
It's just
I mean,
sad.
even though
Yeah.
that would be a process of elimination, but that's the thing is Trump says, well, the tests are free. Sure they are, but in places like here, we have to pay for them to test for everything else before you'll even give us the free test. So it's not helping us whatsoever.
Yeah.
And another thing too, he's talking about a payroll tax cut on paychecks. I can't get a payroll tax cut on a paycheck if I'm sitting at home self-quarantined and not earning any money.
Right.
So that's not helping nobody. Everything that he's doing is just to protect the interests of people with money in the people that he's around. It has nothing to do with the average Joe person like you or I or other people. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
you have to be of a certain status. I mean, you notice that all these celebrities and sports stars are all getting coronavirus. Well, they're being treated. They're getting treated. They're getting tested quickly. They're getting theirs.
Yep.
So,
I
I mean,
I think it's horrible. Tom Hanks and his wife were in Australia, and she comes down sick, and all of a sudden they test her, and she turns up positive, and Tom turns up positive. Why?
yeah.
Why are they getting the test kits, and every other Tom, Dick, and Harry and Jane cannot be tested? I want answers.
Why are they?
Well, and the saddest thing is if they think about it, yeah, I mean, Tom Hanks, he's a celebrity. He's a famous person. He has money.
Right.
He does a lot of charity donations and gives away a lot of things. But when your whole entire workforce that is making $50,000 a year or less, half of them are uninsured and the other half are, deathly afraid to go to the doctor because they can't afford the bill.
I can't. I'm on disability.
Our whole entire system will come to a grinding halt, and they don't understand that the most immediate needs to be from the ground up, not from the top bottom.
Exactly. I was in the hospital 2 years ago. I've got a $50,000 bill that I can't pay. And disability benefits said they wouldn't cover it because I made too much money. Really?
That's horrible.
$19,000 a year is too much money. So they wouldn't cover my hospital bill. So I have creditors banging my door down to get $50,000 out of me that I don't have.
Yeah, can't get blood from a turnip,
That's right.
I mean, the only thing that's going to save us at this point is a complete overhaul of our whole entire system. And I honestly, I mean, I don't know how many people agree with this that are listening, but if you haven't decided on who you're voting for this year, I would strongly take a look at Bernie Sanders. Everything that he said is exactly what we need right now. We need paid child leave, child care for people that have to take paid sick leave. Those are all things we don't have when he's been talking about for 40 years. I mean, and then another thing too is, health coverage for everybody. I mean, I had somebody arguing with me earlier saying, well, Italy's worse and they've got universal health care. Well, of course they're worse. They have universal health care, so everybody can get tested. So their numbers are higher and more deadly because they know exactly who is infected because they have universal health care. We don't have that. So there are people running around here that have no idea if they have it or not, and they're deathly afraid of giving it to somebody else or their older, relatives or family. They're afraid. Everybody's afraid. And that's why everybody's buying up all this toilet paper and all this stuff that everybody else at first thought was unnecessary. But now that things are in full fruition, everybody's like, holy cow, how am I going to get these things now? I laughed this off before and now I'm without, and these people have, and then they blame them. Oh, you guys are hoarders. You guys are taking things. They're afraid. And if you were afraid and took it as seriously as they did earlier on, you would have done the same thing. And that's the saddest part is that you take a look around our country and I just don't know. I don't recognize it anymore. It's not what I grew up in. It's not what I thought it was going to be when I turned to be 40 years old as an adult. Yeah. It's just not.
I agree with you. When they came out with this Obamacare, I made too much money to qualify for Obamacare. In order for me to get insurance, they said I had to pay for it myself. They said, well, you can apply for disability and see if they'll pay for it. No, they won't either. And then one time when disability said, oh yeah, you qualify, but they want me to pay for $500 out of my pocket first. I don't
Right.
have
And
$500.
Yeah, most people don't. I mean, you're talking about 60% of the country lives paycheck to paycheck. I mean,
Right.
It's just the way it is.
Right.
But, you know,
Not
the sad
only
thing
do
too,
yeah.
the sad thing about that whole Obamacare thing too is that all it was nothing more than a backdoor way towards what we should have been doing, which is universal health care. See, the plan with Obamacare backfired, but the plan was this: okay, we've got health care, we're going to cover everybody, but we're going to tell these people with private insurance that we are going to raise their premiums to where they're unaffordable to force them to the public option. Well,
Right.
people dug their heels in and said, we don't want your public option. We want to keep our private health care. And then people got mad because of the individual mandate. But the individual mandate was designed to sweep people towards the public option, because eventually people would be like, I'm sick of paying all this money. Why should I do that when I can just get the free Obamacare public option? But that didn't work out. And then when they unrolled the website, we seen the disaster that was and all those other things.
Yeah.
So if you look at those things, honestly, that's why Obamacare was a failure. But in all honesty, it was designed to fail. It was
That's right.
designed to keep people in the private industry like, I can't afford this anymore. We've got to do the public option. And it was a backdoor way for them to try to do universal health care. But honestly, the best way to do this time right now during this crisis is the best time for us to revamp our medical system. If there's no better time or reason to do it, it would be now. And so if we do it now, we're saving lives and saving money.
Right. I agree. Write your legislators, guys. Write your legislators and tell them you want health care. President Trump talked about health care as one of his platforms to get elected. And he promised it even after that, once he was elected. Let's twist their arms, guys. Let's get health care that's affordable and that will take care of us.
You really want to get their attention. This is what we should do as people. You really want them to start doing what you want. Stop buying things.
Yeah.
Don't buy it anymore. Let them get an overabundance and be like, gee, just like a week ago, everybody was cleaning shelves. Now nobody's buying anything. When you're not buying their products, it hurts their wallets. And then they're going to say, well, what do we got to do to get people to start buying things again? And then that's when we say, you want us to buy your stuff, you need to give us what we've paid for.
Exactly.
Because honestly, everything that we're talking about with government that's fundamentally broken, we pay for. Every bit of it, including Social Security, including Medicare. And, you know, honestly, if I were a person that was in some type of position of power, I would honestly be talking about doing individual Social Security accounts where every person has their own Social Security account and it's not a big, huge pot that they can steal from. I would pass laws that say that Social Security and Medicare would be cut exempt programs. If you could do that and protect our money, you could make those thrive and work for this country. We could have a single payer system where we have, okay, the government has all the money and you private people have to fight through quality of care to get more people to sign up for you to get a bigger slice of this pie.
Right.
If you do it that way, you're going to get better quality care. You won't have to worry about waiting lines like in Canada. You would have these people competing. We've got shorter lines and better care, and more people would sign up for them through free market. And you wouldn't even have to go through any type of socialistic change to do that. You could just make it a single payer system where the money just comes from one place, but the private sector still is competing for money.
Yep.
Yeah.
I totally get it.
That's what
I totally get it. You know, like I said, I myself, I can't afford all this crap. I can't.
No, nobody can. Cost of living is too high for people. And if you live in New York and California and you're listening to this, I really feel for you. A lot of you people have been feeling the pinch for far longer than a lot of the rest of us.
Right.
I mean, you're talking about a $4,000 studio apartment in New York in a crummy neighborhood. I mean, how can a person survive cost of living costs when it's like that? And then we're eating like crap food. It's almost like the higher class people can eat better than we can because they get more healthier things than we do, and all we're offered is just the crap.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're poisoning ourselves, and then you've got places like Flint, Michigan that don't even have running water. They couldn't get $1 billion to do all of their water pipes, but, you know, Wall Street gets $1.5 trillion for having one bad day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, our priorities are wrong in this country. We all need to wake up, and we need to go on board. And there are a lot of people that are Republicans and Democrats that are sick and tired of both too. They just don't know where else to go.
That's right. That's right. We have an election coming up. I'm hoping that we get some people in there that'll take care of business and quit arguing and quit fighting with each other and start cooperating with each other and quit spending money on pet products.
That's right. Just remember that choosing your elected officials in this country is not only something you should take serious, but it's your duty. So in order for you to be able to get what you need for society to work for you, you have to start researching. Don't just jump on a bandwagon with somebody. Really research them and look into what they represent. That's why I'm voting for Bernie Sanders. I'm not even a democratic socialist. I'm actually a libertarian. But I think that I can identify more with Bernie Sanders because democratic socialism and libertarianism have one thing in common. And the one thing that they have in common is that we both want to see our world in a utopian state where people don't have to worry about wars or crime or sickness or illness. But the difference between democratic socialism and libertarianism like me is I don't know if I know what's best for you. But I also know that you probably don't know what's best for me. Nobody in this country really knows what's best for us, but the professional people that have studied for years and done education and paid tooth and nail to get their degrees, those people that are knowledgeable in their fields are the people that should be leading the way in every respective place. So, like, for instance, if we're talking about this coronavirus, medical professionals should be making these decisions, not Mike Pence.
Right.
You know, it's just a different view of looking at things. And libertarianism is something that I really pride myself on. But the cool thing about libertarianism is that you can also attach different ideals to it to make it work for you. And one of those ideals that I think is very appealing to my libertarian side, and it's ironic because they're both kind of apples and oranges, is democratic socialism. I believe in a really strong social safety net. And the last time that we were in this bad of a shape as a country, you guys got to remember that this was like the Great Depression. And the last time we were in this position, we had somebody by the name of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was a phenomenal president. He was the most popular president in the history of the United States, ran for 4 terms. And there was a reason why people kept electing him. It's because he did amazing and great things that we didn't have before him, that generations enjoyed for years until recently. But at the same time, everything is easily corruptible, and without laws and ways to protect ourselves and our money, our tax money has to be protected. We're never going to see a change. They're just going to keep going after the gravy train. You have to put it to a stop somehow. I mean, it's okay to be rich, but do you have to make $5 million in a year when you can make $1 million a year? And that other $4 million could go to society to make it better for you?
Yes.
I mean, it's about greed, and when's enough going to be enough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I appreciate you calling in, Daniel. I'm going to take this conversation up the road and see what I can do to get you some help.
Absolutely. Hey, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my rant.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it. Okay.
Exactly.
You take care, buddy.
You bet, my friend.
Bye-bye.
Let's keep in touch. See you,
I will, for sure.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. That was Daniel calling from Montrose, Colorado. They've got some real issues. We've got another caller. Good evening. This is Ron.
Well, you know
on
who
the air.
this is, Ron.
Yes, I do. How about that?
Yeah,
welcome.
I've got you running live on your page.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you.
So,
Okay, you need to
And I'm
turn,
talking to you from the kitchen while I'm running your video live.
you need to turn it down so we can talk, but I appreciate you calling, sis. Thank you for calling.
Hey,
Appreciate
yeah, well, I'll go ahead and talk here on the porch.
Okay,
Is that better?
that's better.
Okay, hey, there's lots going on in there.
Yeah, a ton of stuff.
People
going on.
need to listen up and listen to you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So everybody who's listening, please give Ron Tyler the time and the day so that you can hear what he knows. He's very, very productive in what he knows. All right? No causing chaos in the chat room or anywhere else.
Yeah, that's true. Please be
Okay?
respectful to everybody.
That's
Please
right.
be respectful. Anyway,
All right. I just wanted to call up and let people know that with you, Ron.
well, thank you. I appreciate you.
All right.
Thanks, sis.
God bless
God
you
bless
in
you.
Jesus' name, brother.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Anyway, that was my sister by a different mister. Anyway, we appreciate you all being part of our program. Can't talk. We appreciate you being here with us on our program, being in the chat room. We monitored it for a long, long time, and we're glad that you're here. We hope that we imparted some good information for you. Watch what you're doing. Be respectful, not just here in the chat room, but in life. Let's not get arrested because somebody cuts in line in front of you or anywhere else, okay? And yes, we got a little political there. I don't believe in socialism either. It never worked and never will. But that's my own belief too. Anyway, we want to thank everybody for being here with us. We appreciate that. Tomorrow, we're going to soon leave the show here, but tomorrow we're going to try to come on the air at about 10 a.m. And we're going to have a Sunday school lesson. So those of you that want to participate in that, it will be called Come Follow Me. We're going to be talking about the life of Jesus Christ tomorrow. It's not going to be the EMA show. It's going to be called Come Follow Me. And I'm going to try to do it at least every Sunday now until people can start going back to church. Okay? So every Sunday about 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to do a Come Follow Me lesson. So those of you that want to participate in the chat room, I'm going to leave the chat room open tomorrow. And as I teach, I can be able to answer questions and we can discuss things. That's the other issue too. I want to be able to discuss everything with you. That's part of having a Sunday school class. Anyway, yes, Mel's saying we've started a dollar bomb donation drive to help the network pay for its bills over the next couple of months so we can continue to bring you current information and great shows on our network and including getting the information out about the coronavirus pandemic. So please, if those of you that would like to support the Freedom Revolution Network, you can go to our page. At the top of the page, you'll find an area where you can donate. Please do so. You can donate to me and my program. You can donate to the network. All right? So please check that out. Rick, I agree. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful night, everybody. We appreciate you being here with us. As I always say, God bless, and do know that we love you, because we do. That will always be the case. That will always be the case. We care about you and we love you. As Walter Cronkite has said, and that's the way it is. Saturday, March 14th, 2020. For Emergency Management Associates, this is Ron Tyler. Have a great evening, folks. See you soon. So why is this not starting? I don't know why it's not working. That blows my mind. Thank you everyone for being with us here on the Emergency Management Associates. I hope you have a wonderful night and thanks for being with us. See you tomorrow.